Yes, welcome to the No State Project live here on my YouTube channel, No State Project. I'm Mark Stevens, of course, from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona, where it was just an unbelievable. We got lucky right now. There's some seriously nice weather. So I'll talk maybe a little bit about the local area here as everyone starts to file into the big show. And it is April 17th already. We're already midway through April. And unfortunately, the hotter weather is on its way. But it still cools down at night here. And it's still pretty nice. It was in late 80s. Maybe got the back. But it was pretty nice. And I think this is good news. Before we get into talking about this scumbag, this Clarence Thomas, as if he's doing anything different than any other judge and politician is doing. I've spoken, and I will continue to speak, about how it's not just government. Government is a tool of the rich. It's always been that way. It always will be that way. Unless there's some serious changes made, and don't see that happening. So it looks like an investment group. Again, I don't know exactly who it is, but it turns big. But when you're doing maybe a $500 million to $1 billion sporting complex, we're not talking about illegal immigrants. We're not talking about, people with no social power and no political. We're talking about big money people here, and going down. See the building that's going on in the Phoenix Valley, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And I've lived out here for a long time. And the billions that are pouring into this valley to build a warehouse in every square inch of the valley. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can go from Apache Junction and go clear out to Tolleson and Buckeye, and you're going to see dozens and dozens of warehouses going up practically overnight. It's not just because we got the airport a few miles, 4 miles away. That, so the whole area around Gateway Airport, is just exploding with houses and warehouses. And of course, the train goes through. Someone decided to do a massive sports complex that they were, again, thinking that, hey, they're going to charge people to play baseball or to play football. I don't want to go through all the demographics and the things out here, but you'd have to be an idiot to pay to use a baseball field, especially in the East Valley. I mean, geez, what a stupid. So it turns out that they have this massive complex that they're not even done with yet. That hundreds of millions of dollars have had to go into this because it is huge. It's 24 football fields. Okay, 24 football fields. Okay, so it's not small. Apparently, this brilliant idea, somebody decided, one of the banks, one of the major vendors, one of the major investing groups, decided to pull the plug, and it won't be finished. So it looks like a lot of these rich douchebags who are responsible for driving up the costs of everything here in Phoenix and wherever you happen to be, those rich douchebags who deliberately drove up the housing value, and so when you drive up housing, you drive up rent, and any business that has to pay rent now has to pass that on to the consumer. So I think it's great that these rich douchebags are taking it in the shorts on this one. Some group or groups of investors are going to lose a lot of money. I mean, more money than you or I could ever see in a lifetime. We're talking serious money, probably hundreds of millions of dollars for a sports complex that isn't done and won't be completed. And what a stupid idea anyway. Hey, you know what? We don't have enough football fields and baseball fields that people can use for free here in the East Valley. Why don't we make 24 football fields and 8 or more baseball fields, and we'll charge people? So here's a hint, a clue. If you're familiar, especially with the East Valley here in Mesa, Gilbert, whatnot, you don't pay. You don't pay even for a league. You don't pay to use a baseball. It's just stupid. Stupid. So I'm glad that these rich douchebags are going to take it in the short, because what they've done to our communities, of course, all with the government's blessing, because they're making all this money, they have all the power, they got all the leverage. So what these rich a-holes can do, they buy politicians. That's what they do. So here, this is not fake news. Clarence Thomas could face federal investigation over property sale. More revelations from ProPublica have turned up the heat on the beleaguered justice. I mean, come on. Is he really? I mean, that's the thing. You see these pictures here of these smiling jackasses. These 9 douchebags. They are all smiling with him because they're all doing the same thing. Every one of them is he knows which is why there's been nothing from this Bush 2 appointee, this scumbag John Roberts, nothing from him, because this guy is smiling because he knows. He knows. He can't, if he goes down, they all go down. Which is why, like with police, it's the same thing with cops and all the way up. How do you bust corrupt cops when the prosecutors are in on it? When the prosecutors have been letting them get away with it? That's why. That's why I will always praise. Well, see, I can't. Larry Krasner. Larry mother effing Krasner. Someone who's not afraid to go after corrupt individuals, no matter what their political stripe, no matter what their political influence. And so something like 30, for those who aren't familiar with this guy over here, they did impeach him because, well, politicians. He's going after real criminals instead of petty stuff. So they impeached him. Although I've heard nothing about a trial. This guy. So while all of these are probably as corrupt as this particular one, I don't think every politician, I think you got a guy like Larry Krasner. Yeah. Something like 30 career prosecutors, when he first took over, resigned or were fired. And, yeah, in his first week in office, Krasner fired 31 prosecutors from the district attorney's office, including both junior and career supervisory staff. Those fired represented nearly a 10% reduction in the number of Philadelphia assistant district attorneys. Nice. And this is what got him into trouble. This is what got him impeached. Krasner announced in 2018 that law enforcement would no longer pursue criminal charges against those caught with marijuana possession. Nice. And that same month, Krasner instructed prosecutors to stop seeking cash bail for those accused of some misdemeanors and non-violent felonies. Krasner said that it was unfair to keep people in detention simply because they could not afford bail. And that's what you get when you elect, as a district attorney, a defense lawyer who saw what these prosecutors were doing firsthand and knows more than any of us probably, or as much as anybody could know, these sometimes career prosecutors that wind up on the Supreme Court and wind up on the appellate court and wind up in the federal court and the state courts. The judiciary is infested with former prosecutors. This guy knows as well as anybody could how vile these judges can be. 9 people exonerated. 9 innocent people. I will say, and I don't have any information on this, I don't know. I'd like to think of those 31 career prosecutors, since they were primarily responsible for 9 innocent people going to jail, that his office would be investigating them. But I don't know. I don't have any information on that. I wouldn't doubt it. So, Thomas knows they're all guilty of corruption. So it doesn't matter what comes out. But this is not the face of somebody. Can we all see that? Do I got to blow that bad boy up? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What the hell happened over here? I think I did it too much. Anyway, these guys know. They're untouchable. When you're on the bench, you are pretty much untouchable. As long as you're doing the same thing that they're all doing. It's like insider trading with Congress. They all do it practically. I said that there's probably some holdouts like AOC, but they're pretty much all engaged in it. They're not going to do anything about it. So, Jordan Rubin is saying here, Supreme Court Justice. Wow, I'm not getting any. That's interesting. Okay, I can't highlight the bottom part over here. I can. All right. Clarence Thomas already faced scrutiny following a ProPublica report earlier this month that detailed years of unreported gifts from GOP mega donor Harlan Crow. The nonprofit outlet on Thursday reported yet another questionable exchange, this time about Thomas not disclosing that Crow bought property from him. He bought his home that his mother still lives in to this day. It's the first known instance of money flowing from Crow to the Supreme Court justice. Probably one of many. The first of many. It's like Trump. The corruption is like a fire hose. Everything is corrupt. Nothing is above board. Nothing is honest with these people. Prompting calls for not only the Supreme Court justice for the Supreme Court, but the Justice Department to investigate. Oh, yeah. Senior Judiciary Committee member Sheldon Whitehouse, a Rhode Island Democrat, told me on Tuesday that he thought the initial Thomas revelations could be a tipping point for Supreme Court ethics reform. How about impeachment? How about jail? Literally buying a judge, and they got they have the documents. Following the latest ProPublica report, White House is pushing for Attorney General Merrick Garland to investigate Thomas. Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, wow, a government watchdog organization noted Friday that under the Ethics in Government Act, well, Ethics in Government Act, really? The Attorney General can bring actions for knowingly and willfully falsifying or knowingly and willfully failing to file or report any information that such individual is required to report, with civil penalties up to $50,000. How about actually bribing a judge? Bribing a judge. It would be best for the Chief Justice. This is Sheldon Whitehouse on Twitter, I guess. I don't use Twitter. It would be best for the Chief Justice to commence a proper investigation after a week of silence from the court. Yeah, no kidding, a week. It's going to be nothing but silence from the court because they're all engaged in similar or the same things. Well, maybe someone like Roberts, some of them are smart enough to not leave a paper trail if you're buying a judge. A week of silence from the court and its latest disturbing reporting, I'm urging the Judicial Conference to step in and refer Justice Thomas to the Attorney General for investigation. It's supposed to impeach for stuff like this. The Senate Judiciary Committee has also said, after the initial ProPublica report, that it's going to hold hearings and accomplish nothing. That no matter how much evidence you get on this guy, no one's going to charge him. Yet White House told me on Tuesday he thought the hearings would focus on the broader issue of Supreme Court ethics reform rather than on Thomas himself. Well, he's the reason you're seeking to reform. Perhaps the latest report will cause the committee to add Thomas to the agenda and to the witness list. Oh, that I would pay to see AOC question him. That I would pay to see. I would pay to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez question him. And someone like Katie Porter. Holy crap. Could you imagine Katie Porter questioning him? Jamie Raskin. Let him question Thomas. It would be good to know the answers to does ProPublica's report detail the full extent of gifts that Crow gave you over the years? If not, what are the others? Well, they'll find out, I'm sure. Are there any undisclosed gifts from other individuals or businesses that you have failed to report? And what do you know of these situations that the other justices are engaged in? Now, that's a question that should be there. You said that you have always sought to comply with the disclosure guidelines. Have you ever failed to do so? Well, we know he did. Oh, that's the whole article there. You got to question this scumbag on what about the other guys? What about the other members of the Supreme Court? How widespread is this? What are there members of Congress that you know about that do this? Who else in government? Who else with positions of authority over other people's lives are engaged in similar transactions? Someone like Katie Porter over there and Jamie Raskin, yeah. This guy right here would be asking questions like that. Who else in the government that you're aware of is engaged in similar situations with mega donors, these billionaires, these wealthy scumbags? This guy right here. He'd find out. Well, that's all I'm going to talk about on that, other than to add that unless we get people like Larry Krasner in that will actually ask the questions and do investigations and go for grand jury indictments, then scumbags like this will continue sitting there laughing at everybody, thinking, hey, what are you going to do? Are you going to take down the whole Supreme Court? Yeah, you're going to put all of us in prison? The laws, they don't apply to the rich and wealthy, the wealthy and the powerful. They, at best, they pay a fine. They rarely go to prison. They rarely get indicted. Yeah. Oh. I think my microphone's sending me a message. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the comments. I'm going to have to go to those, the comments there, and I apologize for all of this. I'm going to put my anarchy symbol. Actually, what I can do, I'm going to put that up there for now. So you guys can't see that anymore. So what I'm going to do is I will put that down there. Ooh. Let me see what we got here. Let's just go with the thumbnail for this particular video. We'll turn that off there and we'll see. Hey, what do you guys think of the editing job there, huh? Is that not top-notch editing on the fly live during the live stream, eh? So let me see what you got there. And if you want to help support the big show, you could do so in the description. All right, let's see. They want to come after Thomas so they can get their religion. Oh my gosh, I hope that's a joke. I really hope that's a joke. Christ, Mark, we know you'll be voting now. LOL, some anarchist. That is something, Michael. I'm glad you actually brought that up, because I see as when you see the anarchists, when they say never vote, and I was one of them. I don't think I was doing it as some kind of edgelord, though. I did it because I honestly believe that you couldn't accomplish anything by voting, and it just gave the system legitimacy. However, I do think that the ones who are still screaming that now are just edgelords. I think they're just yelling and screaming, and they're trying to make a point, and that that their anger means that they're principled. And I think a sign of wisdom and maturity is when you are confronted with facts that contradict your worldview. You have to conform to the facts. And I just spent at least a few minutes, talking about Larry motherfucking Krasner, Philadelphia District Attorney. There is no way in the world you can competently argue that it would be wrong to vote for someone principled like Larry Krasner. And yes, I know he's a lawyer. I know. I've grown. I think I've matured a bit, that I could actually accept the reality that by voting for Larry Krasner, 9 innocent people, I mean, my gosh, people, 9 innocent people who are rotting in a Pennsylvania prison system were exonerated. 9. Again, and I don't know how many total were exonerated. So I would drop the edgelord crap. I would drop this stuff to try to just sound like an angry anarchist, or just sound angry, and realize that as much as we abhor the system, that voting for someone like Larry Krasner had a very positive effect. You're not going to... how it was so effective, they impeached him. Those in government, and I'm sure if Larry did an investigation and found out those who sought his impeachment, would find that just like those scumbag judges, they put 2 judges went to prison for the kickbacks for putting literal children into jail. Okay, they were kickbacks. They went to prison. So it does happen. But someone like I can't even I literally can't. If you can look at the evidence of someone like Larry Krasner and still hold the position that you shouldn't vote as an anarchist, lay out your argument for. I got to get this caller line. I really got to get the caller line going. I wonder why they're targeting Thomas. Who's they? It was reported in ProPublica. They have documents. There are actual journalists, just like Larry Krasner is an actual good politician. I know. There are good journalists, and they've uncovered this stuff. They have the goods on him, and they published it. Michael Friend, I can't believe you actually like AOC. Pretty much, yeah. Just take that. You see, it's not a matter of being a statist. I still abhor the system. But when you've got somebody who's going to make a difference in people's lives, just like I've said for at least 6 years, if I lived in New Hampshire, I would have voted for Ian Freeman. If I lived in Philadelphia, I would register to vote and vote for Larry Krasner. And I would urge those in Philadelphia to continue voting for him. The anarchist that doesn't believe in hierarchy votes in the hierarchy system. Well, you can say that the same. You participate in government and in the hierarchical system every day. I mean, you're using the internet. That was, I mean, it's all regulated and controlled and functions because of government. Not that I'm happy about that, but that's just the reality of it. Yeah, I'm Scamdemic 19. Yeah, I'm confused. The Larry guy is good, so vote in the system. How is that confusing? He fired in his first week 31 prosecutors who were instrumental and responsible for putting at least 9 innocent people in jail, in prison for the rest of their lives. That's what I'm talking about. He came in, and where it would be one guy, you vote for one guy. This is what a DA can do. One guy who instructed that they were not going to be focused on on possession charges, and they were not going to get asked for cash bail for minor offenses, that people wouldn't be rotting in jail for minor victimless crimes because they were poor and couldn't afford bail. How could you not see the benefit? If you don't see that as a benefit, then no amount of evidence will change your mind. I'm an edgelord, I'm an anarchist, and I'm not going to look at anything positive about somebody in the system. Well, all right. All right, you're just, if you want to be just like a bureaucrat, ignore, no. Not going to hear a counter argument, not going to hear the counter evidence. I don't want any counter proof. I've got my worldview, and nothing's going to change it. Yeah. Are you seriously going to argue that it was wrong for 9 people to be exonerated and let out of prison because Larry Krasner is paid with tax money? You got to do better than that. Bro, stop. You aren't an anarchist at this point. I've already been through this. No, I still believe that taxation is theft, because if you're taking money by force, that's theft. If even in the non-legal sense and just the dictionary use of the word, it's certainly not theft in the legal sense. Still believe that. Still believe that it's an unethical system. The very foundation is unethical. But hell, if I have a chance, if I was able to vote for someone like Larry Krasner, yeah, I don't believe in a hierarchical system, but I believe in being practical and helping other people. And it's not a bending or letting go of my principle that I abhor political hierarchies to put somebody in that can bring about a positive change in people's lives. So let me know in the comments that you would not vote for someone like, if you were in Philadelphia, just use Philadelphia for the example. If you were in Philadelphia and you knew Larry Krasner's track record of firing prosecutors who engaged in prosecutorial misconduct, I mean, I'm sure he had personal first-hand experience with these scumbags, and that you knew that he was helping to exonerate innocent people, put in the comments that despite all that evidence, you still would not support him. Put it in the comments. Pretty much why your fan base... Whoa. Pretty much why your fan base dropped. Now, the only thing that really, and I'll tell you, be perfectly frank, the way I understand YouTube works, your viewing history and the viewing history of the entire audience in the subscription base, that is going to determine whether YouTube shows you my videos. And if I've lost subs, it's primarily because a small group of people just hold on to their worldview and no counter arguments, no counter facts can be. And so, all right, that's going to happen. I don't cry over that. I never have. And honestly, the overwhelming majority of the subs on this channel are not fans of, and have never been fans of my channel. The overwhelming majority came from another show simply because the guy who did that show told him he liked me. And so I got a flood of subs from that show. But those weren't people who had anything invested in what I was doing. They simply liked the other channel. He made a suggestion because he liked the material, and 5,000 people subscribed over the next couple of months. So, yeah, okay. So, yeah, pretty much why the fans call them fans, people who follow the show. That happens to all channels. It happens. A lot of people wanted to hear the exact same show every week. I don't want to do the same show every week. And that pretty much ran its course. And I don't do that. And I don't want to do that anymore. So that's what happens to a lot of shows. Things kind of, you do things for 10 years, so if people still want that, they go somewhere else. And that's fine. That's cool. That's not something I want to do anymore. So I'm not worried about it. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad for all those that tune in and still do. So that's fine. Just change the name of the show to the Some State Project. I don't want states. I don't want government. But you guys gotta face reality. I think it's really sick and disturbing that you can have someone like Larry Krasner who will make a positive, and there's no question, it's beyond all dispute. There is no disputing Larry Krasner has been a positive for change, positive change in people's lives in Philadelphia. And the fact that you would not support somebody that under this unbelievably evil system can bring some good through that office, and you would not lift a finger, you wouldn't even do so little as to register to vote for that, just even if it was just for him and Buff on Ghoul for everybody else. Kind of lose a little more hope in humanity, which is really unfortunate. I can't. So I think I'm gonna call it quits on that. And come on, let's see a few more. Not everybody can share the same opinion as Michael Friend, and just that if you lived in Philly, knowing what Krasner has done, that you still wouldn't support and make sure that he could stay in office and do more good. I just want to know how many agree with that. It's hopefully it's just one or two, and it's not too many people that are doing that. So, all right, I'm gonna call it quits on that. I will be back on Wednesday at the same time. If you guys have ideas for what you want me to talk about, otherwise I'll just do whatever the hell I feel like. Let me know in the comments, and if you want to help support the channel so I could do more streams more frequently is kind of redundant, but if I could do more streams more frequently, you could do so in the description. And we have shirts for sale, and you can get ebooks directly from me in the description. So if you don't have them, you can get them today directly from me. Michael Friend says, let's talk about some criminal Democrats. Okay, you provide the names. I don't want to talk about Hillary. That's been done to death. But yeah, we could talk about Nancy Pelosi and the insider trading. That's not necessarily, it's unethical. It's not illegal yet. So it's not necessarily criminal. But yeah, if you want, drop some names in the comments and I will look those up, and hopefully we can do that on the Wednesday broadcast. We'll just have a all Democrat criminal show. So, and don't put Larry Krasner in there unless you have evidence. All right, my name is Mark Stevens. This has been the Monday edition of the live stream here on the No State Project channel. I will be back on Wednesday at the same time, 7 o'clock Arizona time. So till then, salud.